receive overwhelming. Get Fund again will construct 400 4-unit teacher bungalows, 2 million pieces of metal mono decks and chairs, 200 unit 66-seater buses, 200 double cabin pickups, and 50 saloon cars. Right, Honorable Speaker, President's economic diplomacy is yielding results. During his recent visit to China and Japan, he secured about $60 million United States dollars for the construction of a science and technology university in the Savannah region at Damango, Mr. Speaker, and a modern market at Aflao. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the health sector initiatives. Right, Honorable Speaker, health is the heartbeat of national development, and no country can build lasting prosperity without healthy population. The 2026 budget marks a decisive step in our national journey to reset, modernize, and expand Ghana's health infrastructure. So, Speaker, government will begin the construction of 6 new regional hospitals for 6 newly created regions, beginning with 3 hospitals in 2026 and 2 district hospitals at Bole and Shama. Mr. Speaker, also in 2026, government will complete 10 Agenda 111 hospitals. Mr. Speaker, in addition, we will continue the following abandoned hospital project. Mr. Speaker, we will continue the La General Hospital, Efiem Kwanta Hospital in Sekondi Takoradi Metropolis, Komfo Anokye Maternity Block, and the Ashanti Regional Hospital in Sewua. Right, Honorable Speaker, this project symbolizes our commitment to restoring trust and confidence in public health care delivery. Mr. Speaker, government will upgrade 7 hospitals to provide enhanced maternal and child health services. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, also known as the Mahama Cares, was established by the Ghana Medical Trust Fund Act to guarantee sustainable financing in the treatment of non-communicable diseases and specialized medical services. Mr. Speaker, too many Ghanaians battling chronic diseases such as cancer, hypertension, diabetes, stroke, and kidney diseases are forced to choose between life and livelihood. This goal is to build a health system that provides care for every Ghanaian, regardless of income or location, and to move decisively towards universal health coverage. In 2026, Mahama Cares will introduce a comprehensive NCD financing, non-communicable disease financing policy that defines eligible conditions, approved service lists, tariffs, and essential medicines. This will ensure that patients receive uninterrupted care without exorbitant out-of-pocket expenses. So, Speaker, diagnostics and treatment centers will be built on a PPP basis in all major hospitals across the country. This will provide testing and treatment facilities for all the key identified non-communicable diseases under the Mahama Cares program. Right, Honorable Speaker, in 2026, we will retool the Ghana Armed Forces. Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, let me honor the late Dr. Edward Kofi Omaneboama, whose vision laid the foundation for the retooling of our armed forces. In his memory, Mr. Speaker, government will, from 2026, launch a comprehensive modernization program to strengthen the Ghana Armed Forces, Navy, and Air Force to today's evolving security challenges. Mr. Speaker, this program will upgrade logistics, equipment, and infrastructure across all services. Mr. Speaker, for the Army, government has moved to renegotiate the 80 million Elbit Systems contract to secure 19 armor personnel carrier needed to boost ground readiness. Mr. Speaker, for the Navy, we will acquire the 272-meter offshore patrol vessels fitted with helipads and modern combat systems to protect Ghana's maritime borders, offshore energy, assets, and trade routes. The Speaker, these ships will restore control over our exclusive economic zones and strengthen national resilience at sea. Right Honourable Speaker, for the Air Force, the procurement will begin in 2026 for 4 new helicopters and 2 aircraft to enhance airlift, patrols, and emergency response operations. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, let me repeat. Right Honourable Speaker, let me repeat. For the Air Force, procurement will begin immediately in 2026 for 4 new helicopters and 2 aircraft to enhance airlift, patrol, and emergency response operation. Mr. Speaker, this retooling agenda will transform Ghana's armed forces into a modern, agile, and mission-ready defense force worthy of our sovereignty and the sacrifice of our heroes. Right Honourable Speaker, the Ghana National Fire Service lacks basic equipment to enable them function effectively in their duty to ensure public safety and to protect lives and property. Government will retool the Ghana National Fire Service with 100 fire tenders and assorted fire equipment. Mr. Speaker, government will also work with the private sector to bring in high-rise fire equipment. This will improve the effectiveness of Ghana National Fire Service to respond to emergencies. Mr. Speaker, I'll take you to water. Access to clean and safe sanitation is more than infrastructure. Indeed, it is a foundation of dignity, public health, and national resilience. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2026, we will intensify our effort with a bold and practical program to complete key water treatment assets across the country. So, Speaker, we will begin the construction of critical water treatment plants in Damango, Tamale, and Yendi to provide quality drinking water for the rapidly expanding populations in these 3 major cities of our country. Mr. Speaker, sports remain one of Ghana's greatest unifying forces and a powerful drive of youth development, community pride, and national identity. Yet, for far too long, large parts of our country, especially the new created regions, have lacked the facility to nurture and showcase talent. Right Honourable Speaker, the Mahama administration is determined to change this. Beginning 2026, government will commence the construction of modern sports stadiums in 3 out of 8 regions without sports stadiums. These new facilities will provide opportunities for young athletes to develop their skills, attract sports tourism, and serve as a training hub for regional and national teams. Beyond football, they will also support athletics, volleyball, boxing, and other disciplines that have long defined Ghana's sporting heritage. Mr. Speaker, we also take this opportunity to acknowledge the resilience and commitment of our Black Stars, whose qualification for the World Cup continues to inspire our nation. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2026, government will rehabilitate the National Theatre in Accra. We will also commence site acquisition and design of a second National Theatre in Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, we will establish film fund to revive the film industry, such as Kumawood and other film associations. Right Honourable Speaker, we will also establish creative arts fund for the arts, music, fashion, food, and other creative sectors. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2026, government will increase allocation to the District Assembly Common Fund to peoples living with disability from 3% to 5%. The Speaker, part of this amount will be used to acquire and distribute rechargeable motorized wheelchairs to people living with disability. The Speaker, the distribution will be done through the National Council for Persons with Disability. Right Honourable Speaker, effective governance begins with evidence. That's what we cannot measure, we cannot manage. Mr. Speaker, the budget renews government commitment to building a data-driven economy anchored on accurate, timely, and transparent statistics. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2026, the Ghana Statistical Service will be rebasing the GDP and CPI to better reflect today's economy. This will sharpen growth and inflation data, strengthen planning, and provide regional GDP estimates to guide local development. The new CPI will give truer picture of living costs across all regions. So, Speaker, I now take you to resource allocation, where the resources are going. So, Speaker, as we enter 2026, we move from stabilization to acceleration. This budget translates confidence into concrete investment that improves daily lives. So, Speaker, including the provision of better roads, schools and hospitals, reliable power, jobs, and targeted support for the vulnerable. Right Honorable Speaker, what follows are the headline allocation that will drive delivery in 2026 and set the pace for medium term. Mr. Speaker, to unlock round-the-clock productivity, export and decent jobs under the 24-hour economy, we are providing an allocation of 110 million Ghana cedis in 2026 for the implementation of the 24-hour economy program. Mr. Speaker, we will be leveraging the 24-hour economy program will be leveraging with GIF and DBG and provide private capital to keep financing largely of the sovereign balance sheet. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Right Honorable Speaker, of this amount, we have allocated 245 million Ghana cedis for the Nkokon Ketenkete and Livestock Program. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated another 200 million Ghana cedis to the National Food Buffer Stocks Company to purchase excess food storage. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 6.9 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 500 million, for the National Policy on Integrated Oil Palm Program between 2026 and 2032. Right Honorable Speaker, to facilitate transportation of farm produce to market and reduce food inflation, we have allocated 828 million Ghana cedis for the construction of 1,000-kilometer agriculture enclave road for 2026. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 690 million to commence the operationalization of the Farmers Service Center. Right Honorable Speaker, we have allocated 2 billion Ghana cedis for phase 1 of the Rural Electrification Acceleration and Urban Intensification Initiative in 2026 alone. We have also allocated an amount of 15.2 billion Ghana cedis for the energy sector shortfalls. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 4.8 billion Ghana cedis to pay down some of the IPP legacy debt as we have negotiated. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated an amount of 4.3 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Roads and Highways for road construction. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 3 billion Ghana cedis to the Road Maintenance Trust Fund to construct 10 kilometers each in 166 constituencies in 2026 to keep roads more travel in our constituencies. Right Honorable Speaker, to strategically open the country, linking nations, national and regional capitals, we are allocating 30 billion Ghana cedis in 2026 for the Big Push program. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 33.3 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Education for its program and activities in 2026. Again, Mr. Speaker, aside the amount allocated to the Ministry of Education, we have also allocated 9.9 billion Ghana cedis to the Ghana Education Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, we have provisioned an amount of 4.2 billion Ghana cedis for the free secondary education program. Mr. Speaker, to end the double track, we have allocated 1.1 billion Ghana cedis for the infrastructure programs I mentioned earlier. Mr. Speaker, again, we have allocated an amount of 537 million Ghana cedis for the no-fees stress policy. Mr. Speaker, that's not all. We have allocated 25 million Ghana cedis for free tertiary education for persons living with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 3 billion Ghana cedis to be able to procure 4 sets of textbooks for KG books and workbooks for about 200,000 learners, 4 sets of primary textbooks for 2 million learners, 9 sets of JHS 3 textbooks for 500 million learners, and procurement of over 2 million pieces of metal monodecks and chairs, 200 units of 66-seater buses, and 200 double cabin pickups for the distribution to the secondary schools across the country. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have also allocated 2 billion Ghana cedis for the construction of 200 new junior high schools, 200 new primary schools, 200 kindergartens, 400 KG 4-unit teacher bungalows, and 400 places of convenience in underserved communities. Mr. Speaker, to improve learning outcomes, we have allocated 157 million Ghana cedis for capitation grant. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have allocated 1.98 billion Ghana cedis for school feeding program. We have allocated 292 million for free sanitary pads for girls. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 207 million for the teacher training allowance and 169 million Ghana cedis for BEC registration. Mr. Speaker, we have programmed an amount of 9 billion Ghana cedis in 2026 for national health insurance claim, essential medicine, bridging support, and free medical health care. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 2.3 billion Ghana cedis for the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, the Mahama Cares, to support Ghanaians battling chronic diseases such as cancer, hypertension, diabetes, stroke, and kidney diseases. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have allocated 474 million Ghana cedis for nursing training allowances. We have also allocated 600 million to construct 3 new regional hospitals. Again, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 79 million to upgrade 7 hospitals and provide enhanced maternal and child health services. Mr. Speaker, that is not all. We have allocated 100 million Ghana cedis to complete 10 Agenda 111 hospitals. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 1.1 billion Ghana cedis for LEAP program to protect the vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, to crowd in finance for women-owned micro, small, medium enterprises, we have provided 401 million Ghana cedis to fully capitalize the Women's Development Bank. Mr. Speaker, 400 million. Mr. Speaker, this is the minimum capital requirement needed to establish a standard commercial bank. Mr. Speaker, to scale skills for jobs at pace, we are allocating 170 million for the National Apprenticeship Program. Right, Honorable Speaker, digital skills and SME competitiveness. We are providing 100 million for the National Coders Program and 160 million for the Dumawura Program. Mr. Speaker, we have also provisioned 100 million for monthly allowances to Assembly members. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 8.9 billion Ghana cedis for the District Assembly's Common Fund, with a minimum of 80% of releases flowing directly to the District Assemblies to execute priority projects. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are repeating the 2025 guidelines for spending the 80% in the 2026 allocation going to the District Assemblies. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 207 million for the rebasing of GDP and CPI and related activities. Again, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 150 million Ghana cedis for the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, for the activities against illegal mining and forest degradation. Mr. Speaker, government has allocated an amount of 20 million Ghana cedis to the Film Fund as seed money to revive the film industry, such as Kuma Wood and other film associations. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 20 million Ghana cedis to the Creative Arts Fund as seed money for the arts, music, fashion, food, and other creative sectors. Mr. Speaker, that is not all. We have allocated 400 million Ghana cedis for the Integrated Recycling and Compost Plant Project, the IRECOPS. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 100 million Ghana cedis has also been allocated for the construction of fishing markets. Right, Honorable Speaker. Again, an amount of 50 million has been allocated for the purchases of fishing nets and outboard motors. We have also allocated 100 million Ghana cedis for the aquaculture development. Mr. Speaker, again, an amount of 500 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for district housing, including resettlement of the Akosombo Dam spillage victims. Mr. Speaker, an amount of 200 million Ghana cedis has also been allocated for the construction of mini stadiums in 3 regions. Mr. Speaker, again, an amount of 150 million has been allocated for the procurement of fire tenders and assorted fire equipment. And finally, Mr. Speaker, an amount of 150 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for the Black Stars to participate in the World Cup. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker. The 2026 budget statement and economic policy of government is specifically designed to create up to 800,000 new jobs. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, the 2026 budget statement and economic policy of government is specifically designed to create up to 800,000 new jobs. The 63 billion road contracts under the Big Push awarded so far would generate an estimated 490,000 new jobs. Mr. Speaker, this estimation is consistent with the World Bank metrics on job creation from road infrastructure or road investment. Mr. Speaker, the 3 new garment factories will create over 20,000 direct jobs. 7 agro-processing plants will employ about 700 people directly and thousands more through supply chain. Mr. Speaker, national policy on integrated oil palm development will create 250,000 jobs across the value chain. Mr. Speaker, the farmer service centers would generate thousands in machinery operations, maintenance, and logistics. Right, Honorable Speaker, these investments are not isolated. They are part of an integrated national effort to turn stability into jobs and growth. Right, Honorable Speaker, government is putting real capital behind the private sector, which is the engine of jobs and growth. In this regard, we have capitalized the National Investment Bank and will capitalize the ADB and CBG with 1 billion Ghana cedis before the year ends this year. Mr. Speaker, the 400 million Ghana cedis allocated to the Women's Development Bank would deliver affordable financing to small businesses and enterprise, such as Labisi Adam, Prince Layovo, and Caroline Sphere, who I met during my engagement at the Takoradi Market Circle and the Kotokraba Market. Mr. Speaker, in agriculture, 1.7 billion Ghana cedis is being invested in roads, processing zones, and value chains, value additions. Mr. Speaker, directly where jobs are created and livelihood are improved. Mr. Speaker, the new VAT and income tax reforms will cut businesses, will reduce business costs by 6% and free funds for expansion and job creation. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are building an economy where businesses can grow and employ more. Inflation is down, the city is stable, and the interest rates have fallen sharply. Mr. Speaker, together with reliable energy, fiscal discipline, and policy predictability, these measures are restoring confidence and drawing private investment back into the economy. Right, Honorable Speaker, job creation is not a slogan for us, but rather the purpose behind every policy, reform, and investment we make. Mr. Speaker, this is how we build the Ghana we want, a nation that produces, exports, and provides decent, lasting work for every Ghanaian living to contribute to its growth. Mr. Speaker, I now go to conclusion. Right Honorable Speaker, the 2026 budget statement and economic policy. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, let us take a moment to appreciate how far Ghana has come in just under 10 months. Mr. Speaker, the Mahama administration assumed office on the 7th of January 2025. We inherited an economy crippled by high debt, fiscal recklessness, high inflation, fast depreciating currency, low investor confidence, dwindling foreign direct investment flows, massive uncontrolled corruption that has become endemic, draining public resources and suffocating growth. Mr. Speaker, we also inherited high energy insecurity, high unemployment, and unbearable hardship for almost every Ghanaian household. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana was indeed at the bottom of the abyss, a nation in distress with its economy bleeding and its people weary, yet yearning for a government with a courage to turn this around. Mr. Speaker, through decisive leadership, bold reforms, and resilience of the Ghanaian people, we began to turn the tide. Mr. Speaker, the result speaks for itself. In less than a year, we have recorded a strong economic growth, falling inflation, a strong and stable cedi, improved external buffers, restored fiscal discipline, deepened fiscal reforms, strong and independent fiscal oversight, lower borrowing costs, significant debt reduction, restored investor confidence, expanded social protection, better debt management strategy, and massive infrastructure development. Right Honorable Speaker, this progress is the fruit of sacrifice and discipline. Ghanaians tightened their belt, businesses adapted, and government stayed the course. Barely a year ago, our economy was uncertain. Today, the cedi in your pocket is stronger. Prices are reducing, and new opportunities are emerging across agriculture, industry, and technology. Mr. Speaker, to our international partners and investors, we say Ghana is back, strong, credible, and open for business. Right Honorable Speaker, the story of Ghana is no longer one of crisis, but a recovery and renewal. Mr. Speaker, the reforms we have undertaken are not quick fixes. They are the foundation of resilience, competitiveness, and inclusive economy. Right Honorable Speaker, the Mahama administration is not just stabilizing the economy, it is rebuilding a nation. Our commitment to fiscal discipline, social equity, and sustainable growth remains firm. Mr. Speaker, we will protect the gains we have made, consolidate stability, and ensure that no Ghanaian is left behind. Right Honorable Speaker, this budget is more than numbers. It is a message of hope. It tells every Ghanaian child, farmer, teacher, trader, and entrepreneur that their sacrifices matter, that Ghana's recovery is real, and that their government is working tirelessly to build a fairer, prosperous, and self-reliant nation. Mr. Speaker, the storm has passed. The foundation is firm. The horizon is bright. Together, Mr. Speaker, under the visionary leadership of President Mahama, the nation builder, we are building the Ghana we want, a Ghana that works for all, thrives in peace, and stands tall once again as the beacon of Africa's renewal. Mr. Speaker, we are indeed resetting for growth, jobs, and economic transformation. Right Honorable Speaker, I so present. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, this is the most watched budget.
Honorable members, Atua Dadayo. so what you're witnessing there in your shot are chants from the NDC MPs, the majority MPs, as against a subtle demonstration from the NPP MPs on the budget. These are reactions. The speaker struck the gavel severally to get the attention to get composed shortly after the finance minister, Dr. Castle Ato Forson, finished the budget. But they aren't calming down. The inscriptions on the placards from the NPP MPs is Galamsey budget. Stop the Galamsey and the others. But what is now even on the giant screen has been projected by the Ministry of Finance is how they intend to pursue the big push agenda, the roads, the Kumasi Express Highway, and a major design of how they intend to open up the rest of the countries in joining each other. And most especially, this is a design of the Ofuasi interchange has been exhibited on the billboard there. The camera is just pointing out there to it. These are major infrastructure projects that they intend to do. The reactions are suspected. You can hear the NDC MPs hailing the Minister for Finance, Dr. Castle Ato Forson, but the NPP MPs will take none of that. It's their reactions over there. And so the middle benches and the back benches on the NDC side continuously are singing the praise of Dr. Castle Ato Forson. It's Ato is forcing. Ato is forcing. These are the words. These are the words that they are using in terms of the chants over there. While the NPP MPs in disbelief are counter singing Ato is falling, as against Ato is forcing. So, I mean, these are interesting scenes in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Very usual of them. But, I mean, I was suspecting that the energy would probably, go down looking at the time the Minister of Finance started reading. This advertised for 2 p.m. but has delayed over the approval of the Chief Justice nominee, Justice of the Supreme Court, Paul Bafo-Boni. But the chance cuts across all over. As we speak now, it's the NDC side as against the NPP side. The chance, depending on wherever or which side of the aisle you are from, informs what you're singing. The praise as it's going the way of the NDC MPs for Ato, whilst it is against Dr. Castle Ato Forson for the NPP MPs. These are scenes, sights and sound coming in from the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. These are the sights and sound that's coming from the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. The Finance Minister just finished reading the budget in approximately about some 2 hours thereabout, and very, very interesting captures that has been made within the fiscal policy. But it's always said that the detail is in the real budget. What he read was the abridged version. And so the MPs will be given copies of the budget itself. The full document will be given that contains the appendices and the expenditures and the likes. That's where the details are mostly. And so in the coming days, hopefully from next week, when the House opens debate on this, which is the practice, this is where justifications and accusations and the attempt to, so to speak, shoot down the prospect of the budget would come to play. That's how it's done here in Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And so you can understand the chance that's coming in from these MPs though. But to a very large extent, the finance minister has been speaking a lot and saying so much with respect to what it is in terms of the captures in the budget. For instance, let me speak about the president's promise to the people, which has been captured in the budget, the farmer service centers, where under the center initiative or the farmer service centers initiative, government intends to provide agricultural machinery for 50 agricultural districts with about 4,400 different machineries. These machineries include 660 tractors, 300 tractors, trailers, 200 mini tractors, 200 mini tractor trailers, 200 mini tractor tilers, 200 mini tractor cultivators, 200 mini tractor plows, and the like. Quite a lot captured in the budget. My colleague Alfredo Kanse, who hosts Ghana Tonight, joins me here. I mean, Alfred, these reactions aren't really new to Parliament, but I mean, it appears it's taking a longer time than this. You can understand the speaker, stepped out a while ago. But for you, what are your walkaways from the budget?
Well, as you're speaking now, the minority, after the majority sang their party song, the NDC song, the NPP minority is also singing a she Rado Rado. And they're holding the papers with the inscription, the Galamsey budget on it, singing the party song, a she Rado Rado, even though the majority have also finished their own chants and jubilation. What I see now, that even after the presentation of the budget, we still see some videos. It's more like a visual documentary of it that is playing now on the screens.
Yeah, I mean, this like I was describing a short while ago, it is the infrastructure projections that the government intends. So this is a visualized or a 3D form of the visualized projections of the infrastructure project under the big push. What I saw was the Accra-Kumasi Express Highway and how they intend and the interchanges that they intend to do. These are the 3D visualized forms of it, totaling 198 point something kilometers. But I mean, Alfred, it's interesting how
Parliament has been turned into a campaign ground now, and they're all then singing their party songs, now saying that we are there, also no better, that's the MPs you hear on the background there. They are fired up, chanting songs, and that would elicit another reply, is it not, from the NDC MPs. They are, even though they were seated, now they are also gearing to respond to the latest response of the songs from the NPP. It appears we are not leaving anytime soon if this continues. The speaker is out of his seat. Any idea where the speaker has gone to, Kamla? You know the workings of Parliament.
I mean, what's important is that the Minister for Finance is done with a presentation, and so whatever is going on now isn't anything. What has to be done now is for a secondment of what the finance minister said. Of course, both leaders, the majority and the minority, will make very brief comments on this, in accepting the budget as presented by the minister responsible for finance. But I mean, you can understand this. They've been seated for long, and so the boredom and the fatigue and all that, one can say that, of course, they needed this to ginger and fire them up. And so, I mean, this is expected. It's not really a big deal, but we haven't seen how lengthy, this has been as compared to in the past. Because, I mean, some amount of continuity, just after the Minister for Finance was at play. So we cannot fault them. I mean, they've been on their seat for so long a time. But I mean, in going through the details, you are a finance guy. For you, what stands out for you?
So a number of things. First of all, in the media budget review, the finance minister was quite clear that consultation has started for the removal of the COVID levy. So I was expecting that, yes, the COVID levy was going to be abolished or announced. The abolishment will be announced in this budget for the 2026 fiscal year. That has been done, much to the expectation of many. And it was quite clear when the finance minister did indicate that this budget is supposed to consolidate the gains and also build on the gains. It's very important and very critical, because the question about the sustainability of the city, the gains that the city has made over the period, is one that for many businesses and the private sector, they were looking at the various measures, interventions, policies, programs that would ensure the consolidation of the gains that the city has made against the dollar. Because the finance minister did indicate that for the city, for the last quarter at least, we've seen a 32% increase in the value of the city against the dollar. That alone was as a result of cocoa and gold all pushing our exports up and bringing in forex. So for at least between the period of November 2025, the 10th of November, the city was selling at 10 cities 92 pesos to the dollar, an appreciation of 35%, powered by gold 11.42 billion, and then cocoa some 2.46 billion. That's remarkable, right? And you would expect that the policies that have been implemented for gold and cocoa to bring in this amount of forex would be enhanced and then also would be consolidated. So that's one area that I was expecting, and in fact, those boxes have been ticked. Question is, the critical question that will be on the mind of people after all of this is that by May 2026, Kamala, we are exiting this IMF program by May 2026. And a lot of the gains that we have seen in the economy in terms of the macroeconomic gains, and then also the indicators that are trending in the right direction, from inflation to the currency, the growth rate, which has actually exceeded expectations, all of this was captured in the IMF program. And so you have the IMF on your neck, whipping you in line, because you're going to be coming in periodically for a review to see if you are ticking the boxes and you are staying within the program. By May 2026, this IMF ECF program would end. Then what that means is we're back on our own. That's why you hear the finance minister talk about self-discipline being one of the areas of the 2026 budget, so that now that Uncle Sam is not going to be breathing down our necks with a cane to whip us in line, to ensure that we are being fiscally disciplined, we're not going to throw all these gains out of the window and go on a spending spree and back on expansion of infrastructure, all because we want to win an election. From 2027 going into 2028, this government is going to go into an election mode. We're not going to be under an IMF program. It takes a lot of self-discipline, fiscal discipline, to be able to achieve the set targets. So that's what's happening.
So that's actually the worry of many. If Dr. Cassel Ato Forson has been able to do
It appears we lost our team on ground, but you're seeing live pictures from Parliament where the budget presentation has been done by the Finance Minister, Dr. Cassel Ato Forson. There's been the back and forth chant between the minority and the majority. Michael Ogbodu is here with me. I want us to take off, Michael, from where Alfred and Komla ended. You know, the issue with post-IMF, what this country is likely to look like based on the economic policy that has just been presented, you know, earlier in the conversation. And again, even before I get there, I mean, my commentary on that will be, it would appear that when you look at the bigger picture of the machinery around the economy, the government wants to put things in place to sustain the growth that we are seeing up until now.
Yep.
But then there's also that issue you raised at the beginning of our coverage about returning to the bond market, about having the ability to borrow large again. And whether or not we have a strategy towards that. What do you think after listening to the Finance Minister?
Well, my initial thoughts, especially when the Finance Minister began speaking and releasing some of the macroeconomic targets that they have, were that this seems rather conservative, you know, because a lot of the indicators that they put out there were similar to what was in the 2025 budget or what already pertains with the economy. Inflation is within the 8 plus or minus 2% target, plus or minus 2. Currently, inflation is about 8.5%. So it looks like they are very looking at treading cautiously and are being cautiously optimistic with their target. Policy rate, 21.5%, is already there now. They are planning on sustaining it throughout the year. Import cover currently stands at 4.5 months. He says they are hoping to attain at least a minimum of 3. And I'm like, okay, so it shows that there's a lot of caution here, maybe a reflection of the entire fiscal discipline agenda that this government seems committed to championing. Quite interesting times. Also with the issue of revenue mobilization, we've seen that they are hoping to increase the revenue target as from this year's own compared to next year by some about 20-something%, increasing it from, I have to pull out the number for you, but from 226.8 billion to 268 billion. Quite ambitious, about 20%. But well, if you look at how they fared this year so far, a lot of people doubted or raised concerns about the ability of the GRA to achieve some of these targets. But well, they were able to pull it through. And now the question is, if you are scrapping off COVID levy, you are reviewing the VAT levy, tax, dropping it from about 20-something% to now 20%. How are all of these going to translate now automatically or finally into the big basket of raising your revenue targets? Those are interesting ones that would be interesting. It will be critical to know how they plan on rolling all of that out. But overall, I think that the budget looks pretty promising. Cautiously optimistic, yes, but I am particularly excited about the interventions in the agricultural sector.
Why specifically those?
You see, I think that a lot of economists have raised concerns about the fact that our economy is very heavily services sector driven. But if you look at the key interventions that they are hoping to implement in the agricultural sector, at least I think that to a laudable extent it gives agriculture some level of center stage in the economy with some of the interventions that they are looking at, from the palm industry projects that they are looking at implementing, because of the national policy on integrated oil palm development. We know countries like Malaysia and the likes have turned around their economy on the back of palm, which is great. So there's a lot of potential in there. He's looking at some 200,000 metric tons, draining some $200 million in foreign exchange. From that, there are over 100,000 hectares that will be cultivated. Just hearing the number should create a picture in your mind how much jobs that is going to create. He says 250,000. And you hear him also speak about the industrialization bit, where they are looking at adding value to a lot of these things that they are producing, which is fantastic. Look at the list of agricultural equipment they are looking at bringing in. 660 tractors means that on the average, every constituency will get at least two tractors. So imagine that this distribution is done on a need basis, and those who need more than two are given that priority. Think about how much difference that would make in agricultural sector. It helps levitate us from that whole subsistence level of agriculture, because how much can a farmer do with his hoe?
Right.
But now looking at the tractor, and the list goes on and on and on, and it just shows you that this government seems serious about grabbing the bull by the horn, and they are putting the system in place. The question is, would they be consistent as they've been this period? The issue of fiscal discipline, would they be able to do it post-IMF? Those are the critical questions that we are hoping to get answers to, and hopefully looking at how poised this finance minister is, maybe they may
perhaps
be able to pull it
they
out.
may. And then if we also look at the last 11 months or so, we can also say that there is the potential to stick with their own budget statement.
True.
Because they have shown, they have given us example of what they are capable of doing.
Yeah.
But on the subject of agri, this year we've experienced a lot of glut. The finance minister, attended to that issue, and he talks about how it's because of the expansion and growth in the agri sector, which is what you have also outlined for the fiscal year of 2026. They hope to sustain that growth and even increase it where necessary. And then the question will be, okay, so when we get all that growth, where are we going to stuff? What are we going to do with all the produce that we get from there? There comes, the issue of our 24-hour markets, that they hope to establish with our district assemblies common fund. So they've given timelines as to, how they want to do that. So then we'll have markets to take those things to. Hopefully, there is also the demand for us to be able to.
That's the critical one.
Absolutely. To be able to go to those markets.
Exactly.
Right? Establishing the market is not enough.
It's not demand.
And then, he also talks about how the president is giving directives that our secondary schools eat local.
Exactly.
That could help with the expansion in the agri sector. But you're right. We need to look at value addition in the agri sector beyond creating markets, beyond having our secondary schools eat from there. And I was hoping that the 24-hour economy, which we are seeing, the baseline infrastructure that comes along with that, I was hoping that we would see a bit more about how it adds value to the agri development that we are seeing. But then also someone would argue we are seeing expansion and investment in the likes of ADB. Maybe that's where the value addition bit will come from. But it will be really interesting to know how 2026 carries agri value addition. Remember you talked to me about cocoa value addition previously. He didn't touch on cocoa value addition. He talked about how cocoa will be a great sector to look at because of growth in both cocoa exports and gold exports. But the value addition was not really mentioned.
Yeah, that's a critical one that I was hoping would have gotten answers to, because remember that the vice president mentioned that Ghana was going to at some point stop exporting cocoa in its raw form. As we speak at the moment, our top non-traditional export earner is processed cocoa, which is giving us in excess of 1 billion Ghana cedis. And research has shown that if we are able to add value to our cocoa just by processing in the barest minimum of ways, we should be able to double our earnings from cocoa. Some interesting ones. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Absolutely. There's so much to talk about between the ground team and the studio team. Let's head back to Parliament.
Whenever a budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending is presented by the minister responsible for finance on behalf of the president, a commentary on it shall stand adjourned for not less than 3 days. 4. The part of the budget statement and economic policy of the government and the heads of estimates that relate to the ministries, departments, agencies, parliament, the judiciary, and other independent constitutional bodies shall stand committed to the relevant committees that have responsibility for the subject matter. And each committee shall consider the relevant part of the budget and the head of estimates committed to that committee and report to the House within a time as the business committee may determine. 5, any other part of the budget statement and economic policy of the government that relates to revenue and expenditure shall stand committed to the Finance Committee, which shall consider and report to the House within a time as the Business Committee may determine. Honorable members, I so direct, as clearly detailed that these estimates be so taken over by the relevant committees for consideration and report at a time and a date that is determined by the Business Committee. I so direct. Honorable members, before I move on, let me recognize the presence of some dignitaries that have come to support us to receive the budget statement from His Excellency the President through the Minister for Finance. And so I acknowledge His Excellency Dr. Ekospio Gabra. I've just been informed that the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia, we also have the former Minister for Energy, Honorable Boache Ajakun, present, and the former Minister for Finance, now advisor on the economy at the Office of the President, Honorable Sef Tekpe, is also present. We have Alhaji Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Let me also acknowledge the leadership of the Ministry of Finance. We have the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Patrick Nimo. Yes, he's seated over there. We have the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Johnson Esiema. We have the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Anthony Kwasi Sarpong. We have the Commissioner also from the GRA, SSD, Dr. Adumakun Mensah. We have Commissioner GRA, DTRD, Brigadier General Glover Ashong Anand. And we have the Controller and Accountant General, Mr. Kwasi Ajay. We have so many other supporting staff, coordinating directors and directors. They are all available to support the minister. On your behalf, I want to thank them for their patience and all what they've done to support the minister to present such a statement within 2 hours. Honorable members, as I am not good as a conductor, when it came to the time of the chorus, I had to advise myself because a few years ago, the Veterans Association invited me to their function at the usual place. The Veterans Association, you know where they are housed. And I was invited to conduct a singing band there. It was very abysmal. So I didn't want to disappoint myself in the public. And so when you decided to reconstitute Parliament into orchestra, I decided to advise myself, and that is why I silently sneaked out. Honorable members, I will allow your leaders to say a word before I bring the minister to present some papers. I think this is the proper time for the two leaders, the minority leader and the majority leader, to have a say before we move to the order paper to give opportunity to the minister to present the papers. But I think now you have all stretched your limbs, you have refreshed yourselves, and you are ready for a long haul. And so I'm ready for you this night. Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, in March this year, when the finance minister started his lamentation, we were minded to forgive him because he was new on the job. Today, after several months on the job, he came to repeat the same lamentation, part 2 of his lamentation. Mr. Speaker, the minister may be minded to see the empty public gallery. The business community decided to abandon him. All these empty chairs, this is not what we've known in the past. Mr. Speaker, the minister attempted to provide some figures. He gave a tall list of allocations. What he failed to add, that in the 2025 budget that he brought to this house, we had Director of Operations at the Jubilee House, at the presidency, who publicly said every month the presidency gives 20,000 Ghana cedi to each constituency. A total 66 million. Where did they get that money from? Mr. Mustafa Bandi, the Deputy General Secretary of NDC and Director of Operations at the Presidency, he publicly said that every month the Presidency gives 20,000 cedis to each constituency. The Minister of Finance has not accounted for this. Some figures. He gave a tall list of the minister has failed to consider the work of Parliament. He provides a paltry sum to Parliament when Parliament is the only body that does oversight. Parliament is an important organ of states. When the minister himself is a minister, is a member of Parliament, and fails to recognize the Parliament and its work, and you say we should hail you. Look at the ministers and their faces. Mr. Speaker, 2025, he should tell us the releases he gave them. When he was mentioning some of the figures, the ministers were looking as if this is the first time they were seeing the figures. Was there any consultation? Mr. Speaker, was there any consultation? Did they even know what was going to be in the budget? Mr. Speaker, ni a vote kahame ameke akenuchumomba ameke wake akenuchumomba abaha or 24-hour economy, 1 job 3 shifts yano yakwe gamashi teshi la nungwa yute ameke ingbe 24-hour economy yo nichumwe ingbe nichumwe yo almost a Jumanu way, 24-hour economy. And then, we buy a 24-hour economy, one can watch them. And so more to Jum see 24-hour economy. 1 job, 3 shifts in a way. Why women is who MPs no moon to me come constituency?
Minority leader. Minority leader.
I'm going to translate.
Your
to which?
No, I don't need a translation.
Oh,
I think your time is up for the comment.
Mr. Speaker, it's okay. Mr. Speaker, it's okay.
This is
after Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members.
You see your man. You see.
Honorable members.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Honorable members, these are initial comments. Definitely, there will be a motion for you to debate the budget, even before we go to the appropriation bill. So these are initial comments, and you don't need to belabor the point. After you demonstrated before everybody, don't come behind the scene to commend me for presiding very well. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, our people say that it is when the toad is dead that you see its full length. It is not lamentations. It is the continued unearthing of the bad economic management of the NPP that is being revealed every day. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious from the budget statement that the NPP government was the worst case study of bad economic management. The NPP was bad in government, but even worse in opposition. Worse in opposition. Indeed, I have heard Ghanaians ask if it is too late to replace them with the CPP as the official opposition. Mr. Speaker, Parliament was given a budget of 1.1 billion in 2025. In this year's budget, Parliament is being given a proposed figure of 1.6 billion. And you are aware. You are aware. Mr. Speaker, if ministers are quiet, it is because this budget was presented to ministers in cabinet and they approved it before it was brought to you. So they are aware. They are aware of all the figures. Everything in the budget was approved in cabinet where all these ministers were in attendance. Mr. Speaker, I am surprised that you didn't hear that the 24-hour economy program there is a budgetary allocation of 150 million Ghana cedis. So I'm surprised that you didn't listen. Mr. Speaker, I am not surprised that Ghanaians are now clamoring for you to be replaced by CPP as the official opposition. Mr. Speaker, we thank the Minister for Finance. His work clearly has been very commendable. This country is being turned around. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious inflation figures have drastically reduced to single digits. Mr. Speaker, we are paying our debts. Mr. Speaker, international rating agencies are giving us better ratings. Mr. Speaker, this budget and the expenditure of last year and the effort to stabilize the economy is what will create the jobs. The youth should be hopeful. What happened yesterday? Where those young 6 ladies died trying to find a job is a serious indictment of how the economy of this country was managed in the past 8 years. Mr. Speaker, I have confidence that this budget is going to create jobs, and the numbers, close to 800,000 jobs, will be created. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, by the time the Accra-Kumasi Expressway gets to Kumasi, I believe all the elephants will run away from Kumasi. Mr. Speaker,
Majority Leader,
let me conclude by thanking the Right Honourable Speaker for giving us an opportunity, and to thank the Finance Minister for coming to this House to present the budget statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I invite you to the order paper addendum. Order paper addendum at the commencement of public business. Item 1, presentation of papers. The following papers to be presented by the Minister for Finance. Roman 1.
Contract agreements between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, Ghana Revenue Authority, and Truda Investment Limited for the provision of public and digital inspection solution to modernize customs administration and enhance revenue mobilization.
Honourable members, the contract agreement has been duly presented. It is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. Roman number 2.
Request for the review of the investment policy and management of the Ghana Petroleum Funds in accordance with Section 31A of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815.
Honourable members, this paper has been duly presented and it is referred to the Committee on Economy and Development for consideration and report to the House. Roman number 3.
Master agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance, Ghana Revenue Authority, and Tata Consultancy Services Limited for professional services.
Honourable members, the master agreement has been duly presented and it is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. Roman number 4.
Request for waiver of tax on the income of Tata Consultancy Services Limited as service provider and value-added tax amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 10,460,000 United States dollars on imported services under the implementation of the Integrated Tax Administration System project.
Honorable members, the request has been duly presented. It is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. Honorable members, we have item 2. I want to know whether the instrument is ready. Presentation of instruments. It's also by the Minister for Finance. Honorable members, I manage the House. I manage the House. Please, let's complete the laying of the consequent papers from the presentation of the statement. Then I can listen to your leader. Please. Honorable members, presentation of instruments. Minister for Finance.
Public Procurement, Thresholds for Approving Authorities and Procurement Methods Regulations, 2025.
Honorable members, this instrument has been duly presented and is referred to the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation for consideration and report to the House. Item 3, presentation and first reading of bills. 3A.
An act to repeal the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy Act 2021, Act 1068, and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the bill is read the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. 3B.
An act to revise and consolidate the law related to the imposition of the value-added tax and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the value-added tax is read the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. 3C.
An act to regulate and the provision of residential asset service in or from the country and to provide for related matters.
3C.
An act to amend the National Health Insurance Act 2012.
The bill is read the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. 3D.
An act to amend the National Health Insurance Act 2012, Act 852, to allocate 20% of monies of the National Health Insurance Fund to the Ghana Medical Trust Fund to allow for the deductibility of the National Health Insurance Levy and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the bill is also referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. 3E.
An act to amend the Ghana Education Trust Fund Act 2000, Act 581, to provide financing for free secondary education, free tertiary education for persons with disability, and free education for persons with special needs, and to allow for the deductibility of the Ghana Education Trust Fund levy. Honorable members, the bill is read the first time
and refer to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. Honorable members, we have some items in the original order paper. Honorable members, item 8 on the order paper. Item 8 on the order paper. Majority Leader.
You need to present this as well.
The following papers to be presented by the Minister for Finance. 8A.
Annual report on the collection and utilization of the African Union Import Levy for the 2025 fiscal year.
Honorable members, the annual report is referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. 8B.
Annual report on the petroleum funds for the 2025 fiscal year.
Honorable members, the annual report of the petroleum funds is also referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. 8C.
Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the National Lottery Authority for the year 2024.
Honorable members, the annual statement of the Audit Committee is also referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report to the House. Honorable members, honorable members, well, you all know it. It's great to be young. So, yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I struggled to catch your eye. Mr. Speaker, I was raising an important matter regarding the order paper addendum. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, item 3 on page 2 is very consequential after the budget presentation. But Mr. Speaker, if you look at item 1I, IV, Mr. Speaker, these are very serious matters. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, the majority leader, is here. In all fairness to me and my colleagues in leadership, Mr. Speaker, when these things happen, our back sometimes carries a certain impression as though we are in the know. There was no engagement. Mr. Speaker, we are dealing with a tax, a VAT exemption of $10 million being given to a company. This is the finance minister who is against tax exemption. I am saying that, Mr. Speaker, it is only fair that if the government side intends to do this, we discuss. Mr. Speaker, we had a pre-sitting. These important matters were never discussed. You look at, Mr. Speaker, a digitalization contract between GRA and Trudeau Investment Limited. Mr. Speaker, we don't know anything. It was a reason why I got up. Mr. Speaker, it is only fair. The practice is that the two leaders were engaged. But when you print order paper, then we don't know anything about it, then it is announced. Mr. Speaker, it is never the practice. I've been where he is before, and they know, Dr. And he knows that at every point, especially on addendum, he will never agree to surprises. He knows that. Finance Minister, be fair. Mr. Speaker, they shouldn't always create a certain impression that we are in this house to litigate on every matter. I feel very bad when they create that impression. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the whole country is watching us. The whole world is watching us. Mr. Speaker, our rules are very clear. Days ago, I had occasion to tell minority leader that we must begin to honor and respect our rules. Mr. Speaker, our rules in Order 126 says that the chair shall be heard in silence, and the chair is the speaker. And let me read the provisions. It says that the speaker is responsible for the maintenance of order and observance of the rules of debate in the House. Whenever the speaker addresses the House, any member standing shall immediately resume the member's seat, and the speaker shall be heard in silence. Mr. Speaker, whilst we are addressing this House and facilitating the laying of papers in this House, our friends opposite did not only remain standing in their feet, but were singing, obstructing, disrespecting you, disrespecting the chair, disrespecting the maize, and disrespecting the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, you may choose to tolerate that. But this side of the House will not tolerate that. We will not tolerate that. Mr. Speaker, I, based on Order 33.2, I want to raise a question of contempt and abuse of privilege. Mr. Speaker, we must begin to enforce our rules. We must begin to enforce our rules. Mr. Speaker, this side of the House, we can march you two by one. And after we have marched you 2 to 1, we will still have excess. We still have excess of over 30 something. Mr. Speaker, I demand that the minority leader now apologizes to your good self for this gross misconduct and misbehavior. Mr. Speaker, if he does not, I will raise a question of contempt of Parliament and abuse of privilege and ask you to rule on it now. I am giving you an opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this house will not be abused by Honorable Afenyomakin. He's too small to abuse this mace. He's too small to disrespect the Speaker whilst all of us sit and watch you. So I am raising a question of contempt of Parliament and breach of privilege, and I'm asking you to rule on that matter. Refer all of them to the Privileges Committee. We have their identities, we recorded it, and Mr. Speaker, we will have the Privileges Committee go into this. Mr. Speaker, as the majority leader and leader of this House, and as the Speaker, we owe it a duty to this country to make sure that the institution of Parliament, its image, its integrity, its reputation is maintained. We will be reneging on our responsibility if we allow behavior like what we have seen today to persist. We have come to the end of it. Mr. Speaker, if they can misconduct themselves, small as they are, if we don't take action, we should forever remain silent when this side of the House also decides to take action against them. So, Mr. Speaker, I am raising breach of privilege pursuant to Order 31.0 of the Standing Orders, which says any act or omission which affronts the dignity or authority of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to bring the name of Parliament into disrepute. Mr. Speaker, what they have done, persistently violating our standing orders, standing whilst you are addressing the House, singing disrespectfully whilst you are addressing the House, clearly falls within the prohibitions of Order 31.0. Acts affronting the dignity or authority of Parliament. We cannot allow Afenyomakin and the kitty minority to destroy the image of this house. I don't have a problem. I know they have destroyed the image of their party already.
That's right. That's right.
And I earlier indicated that I know Ghanaians who are asking if it is not too late. They want to replace the MPP opposition with the CPP as the official opposition. But they have gone too far, Mr. Speaker. And I raise a question of contempt and abuse of privilege, and I invite you to give a ruling on that matter, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I think we've transacted two very important matters today. We managed to get the approval of the House of the President's nominee to the position of Chief Justice of this country. We have also got the Minister for Finance to present the budget statement and economic policy for the 2026 financial year. These are two very important events that have occurred, and I think that we have done well. As to the issue that the minority leader has raised, the effect being that the leaders of the House, having consulted on some items, based on the lack of their consultation, those items should not be brought to the House and be given to the House for them to consider the government business in that respect. I find that very unfortunate because no decision is taken today. It's just business that is being presented to the House. And the matter, as I've stated earlier, has been referred to the relevant committees to consider and report to the House. The House will now have the opportunity to debate, to deliberate, to do what they want with the business that has been referred. So the fact that the two of you have not been able to consult each other should not prevent the Speaker from admitting the business to be presented to the House for consideration. Not at all. It's a matter that you, the leaders, could discuss later on. But we have business to do. As part of my duty as a Speaker is to protect the minority. It's also a duty of the Speaker to make sure that government business is not obstructed. I did that from 2021 to 2024, when those to my left were to my right. I'm doing the same now. Please. We have tolerated each other for some time now. I did indicate that I'm not going to use the gavel. I'll be using the hammer. But please, I learned a lot of lessons from the holy books, both the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran. And there was good reason why the prodigal son was giving a feast. And so, honorable members, let's don't end the day on a bad note. Let's end the day on a good note. At the appropriate time, the Speaker will take the necessary action to bring real discipline and order to this House. Please, let's leave it here and complete the other business that are before us. I don't want us to go beyond this. We still have 2 more important businesses I want us to carry on. I want the House to work together as we've been doing. These are important matters, particularly the consideration of the budget and economic policy of the government. I want us to consider what happened yesterday. The country is not in a joyful mood. I expect that we should understand the situation and try as much as possible to debate with cool heads. I expect that you should all be able to tolerate each other. It's not that what you do doesn't hurt me. It does, many a times. Because you all accept that I'm the father of the house. And sometimes you get up and say, with the greatest respect, then you are wondering what kind of respect that is. Those of us who were hunters know that anytime the monkey wants to bite you, it will clean the place first before biting. So when you get up and say with the greatest respect, I know you are cleaning the place, but you are going to bite. And many of you are not hunters, so you don't understand these things. Me, coming from Saito, I've learned a lot. Those of you who went to something international, that's where you are now. You are not a Ghanaian, you are not a European, you are not an American, you don't know who you are. This is what Ghana is faced with. No identity, no character, nothing. It's just a name that they are human beings. So how for do? I'll leave it at that. Honorable members, I will want to plead with the majority leader not to insist on moving that motion. Let us continue to tolerate each other and work together. At the appropriate time, the rules will be applied. And I assure you, it's not on one side, it will be on both sides. Please. I know what I'm doing. And when the hammer falls, you see the applaud from the good people of Ghana. I assure you, I'll have the full support, including your parties. So please, let's go on. We have the third reading of the long-standing bill before the House, and it's just the third reading. That bill has been here for months, and the minister has been present since morning just because of this bill and then the budget. And so it's not the culture of the House to ignore such things. But I will listen to you, Minority Chief Whip, before I... Majority Leader.
So, Speaker, I haven't heard you congratulate and discharge the Minister for Finance. so that he can go back to his seat as a member of parliament.
You are right. You are right. Let me, on behalf of the House, thank you, the Minister for Finance, for coming to the House and on behalf of His Excellency the President, present the budget statement and economic policy for the 2026 financial year. We are extremely grateful, and I know that you enjoyed the music. You didn't take it otherwise than people trying to at least refresh themselves after sitting for many, many hours. That is how I read it, and I think that is understandable. It's only we have to get the leaders to modulate some of the orchestra and the singing bands so that we can do business in harmony. So, Minister, we are extremely grateful and you are discharged. Yes, Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I am exceedingly grateful. And Speaker, I'm happy you have called the very business we were all anticipating to be called. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to make pleadings to the majority leader. And if he recalls, at conclave, he had made the point, because we even suggested that we were at third reading, and he had made the point, no, we should just come and read the budget and call the day off. Now it has become necessary that we take this very item. When we walk into the chamber, I kept drawing the attention of the front bench on the other side that this is just the third reading. Let's take it. So the point I'm emphasizing on is we should learn to reach out. We should just learn to reach out. Majority Leader, today, for instance, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry if I know we are all fatigued. We had to stage a compromise for the collective interest of this House. When Honorable Habib had to withdraw his motion, and Majority Leader, I heard you when you reached out to us. Yeah, to take it some other day. When you reached out to us, we understood and we yielded to your call. You see, so it's a give and take. It's a give and take. When the leader, our leader, was on his feet, it was only drawing our attention to the fact that if we had mentioned to him that these businesses were supposed to be laid, we would not be opposed to it. But it's just a show of respect and magnanimity so that we understand that this House, regardless of the numbers, is a two-sided House. I am pained by the way we are prosecuting business. You cannot tell me to sit down. If you want to speak, catch the eye of the speaker. What do you mean? You can't tell me to sit down. What do you mean? No, you cannot do that. You should catch the eye of the speaker.
Please.
Speaker,
address me.
You should. I am in leadership.
I'm locating them.
Show me some respect.
I'll handle them. Please. Yes, please address me.
Speaker, so I am simply saying that, Majority Leader, we respect you. Many occasions we defer to you. Ever since I came to this House, I have never disrespected you. But sometimes the way you go about carrying your business, you don't carry the entire House along. Anytime you need us to compromise, when you reach out to us, we often yield to you. So we want to plead with you. Majority Leader, Mr. Majority Leader, we want to plead with you. We will not come to this House to obstruct government business. No, we will not. So just reach out to us, just to talk talk to us, you are human as you are. We know you have a business to prosecute. And I have been a majority chief way before. This is just the beginning of a cycle. We are now going to go for, you will lay it, don't worry. We are now going to take about 50 motions. You cannot have all your numbers all the days. Well, you'll be there and be saying this. There will be times that you will need us to compromise. Speak, you can find out from your majority leader. We work together. Let's work together. Because we are, our colleagues should know that we need to work together. Nobody is perfect here. Sometimes I am paying the way we are being treated. We are in the minority, so what? We can make very good suggestions for the prosecution of government business.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I think enough is enough. I know that the leaders on daily basis have been cooperating, because on daily basis I hold meetings with you people at the lobby, and I participate in your trade-offs, trying to accommodate each other. And so when on the floor, sometimes we disagree. I think it's better for you to do what you are doing on the floor outside the floor. Particularly when we are in the lobby in conclave, you can raise these things. But don't let the public have a perception that you don't cooperate with each other. Because I can give copious evidence, supported by documentary evidence, as to how you have cooperated with each other up to date. I'm a living witness. So please, sometimes, whether for some other reasons you want to achieve some other goals, I don't know. That's why sometimes I'm also compelled to say it's a surprise to me. So please, let's leave it at that, majority leader. And then outside the glare of the public, we can use the usual channels of communication as we refer to, and settle some of these differences. Please, let's continue with the business. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, definitely this House revolves around dialogue and cooperation. And I know that everybody in this country who has observed me in the last 8 months that I've sat here will confirm that I'm one of the most accommodating persons in this chamber. Everybody will confirm that. Mr. Speaker, the narrative that he seeks to put out there is that I'm a leader who doesn't carry the minority along. That is a narrative that I find quite unfair to put out there. If I did anything today against you, it is the way you conducted yourself in relation to the Speaker. No, on the issue of singing, all of us sang, both sides. I'm not raising issues about singing. I said, I'm not raising issues about singing. The issue that I raised and asked the Speaker to rule on an issue of contempt and breach of privilege is your conduct here. It's not about engagement on the business of the House. When you say you don't have notice, you will only be able to make a case that you don't have notice if the order paper does not capture the item. Once the order paper captures the item, you have notice of the item. Mr. Speaker, he was the majority leader and leader of government business. He saw to the presentation of several budget statements. And you know that in every budget statement, when the Minister of Finance makes reference to bills, to regulations, to instruments, to amendments, to contracts, to repeals, immediately he finishes, we usually lay those ones. And we take them on a certificate of urgency. You know that. You've been in this house. You know. So why are you behaving as if this is the first time this is happening? When they are late, then when the Speaker refers it to committee, at the committee level, you will engage. That's how engagement takes place. But when bills, instruments, regulations, contracts, and etc., which were referred to in the policy statement of the finance minister, then the clerks, on their own, knowing that this is the procedure, go and print an order paper addendum and capture all those instruments. And Speaker, consistent with our practice, is now seeking to have us lay those instruments. And you rise up and he gives you indications that let me finish laying, I will recognize you. And you persist and clearly violate our rules. On a day when you know the whole world is focusing on us in this chamber, the sanctity of the image of this chamber. Mr. Speaker, as you indicated, I will not belabor the point. We can take the third reading of the scholarship bill and we'll call it a day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, may we take the item on the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill 2025, and that I think is item 13 on the order paper. Item 13, Minister for Education. Move the motion for the third reading.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Ghana Scholarship Authority Bill 2025 be now read the third time. I beg to move.
Motion moved. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, I put the question. And the question is that those in favor of the motion just moved by the Minister of Education, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the scholarship I've just been reminded that I've not declared the results. It means that the fatigue has set in. Honorable members, the ayes have it.
An act to establish the Ghana Scholarship Authority to regulate the administration and award of government scholarships in a transparent and equitable manner and for related matters.
Honorable members, the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill 2025 duly read the third time and passed. You all heard the minister. He was so overwhelmed that he was overjoyed because he has struggled all these days to get this bill through. And so he didn't even know how to move the third reading. So he preceded it with a good laugh. Minister, thank you for the patience and all the tolerance. Please, I think that we need to do a few things. I have tried, and I want to appeal to leadership. I have tried to get us, in spite of our differences, to work together. I have organized a number of retreats for leaders, a number of opportunities, and leaders have always failed to turn up. I'm compelled to say this because those who are not aware think that I'm not making the effort. It's because we are different that we are sitting to the left and to the right. If we're not different, we'll be together at one place. And the arrangement of this chamber would have been different. That difference must be recognized and accepted. That is how we work together. That's how we were created. That's why you have parties. And that's why Ghanaians voted for you the way they voted. So please, let's accept each other and work together. You only do that when you are outside the floor. But when you come here, something else happens to you. That's why I was calling the pastors and the apostles to come here and then pray and bless this chamber. Maybe there's something inside here that I don't know. They should come and exorcise the evil spirit in the chamber. Because I deal with you people outside the chamber. And your attitude is very different. But when you are inside here, at something else, they say, Beshi. Please, we can do better than this. I know your capacity, I know who you are, I know what you've been doing, but don't give this impression, because it will not be my nature to be applying the hammer, but if that is the last resort, so be it. And I told you, sooner than later, it will fall on hairs. I won't split your hairs, but you may not recover. Please, let's end it here, unless there's something urgent, and take it.
So, Speaker,
Yes,
I think
please.
we have sat beyond 5 hours, so we're in your hands.
Well, honorable members, I will then proceed to adjourn the sitting to tomorrow. And the sitting is adjourned till 2 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, yes. No indication of a different timing. You want to sit earlier? Yes, please. Yes.
My My friends opposite are proposing that we do 12 noon.
12 noon. Honorable members, sitting is adjourned to tomorrow at 12 noon. Sitting accordingly adjourned.
And the consensus at 6 a.m. Yeah.
And indeed, just what we ended with was the passage of the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill. This is a bill or a law or an act that is seeking to detach the award of
You're live here on TV3. It's our continuing coverage of the 2026 budget statement and economic policy presentation, which has now happened in Parliament. As you just saw, Parliament has adjourned to noon tomorrow. And in your shot there are the MPs who are having conversations, hopefully, about the budget and the future of this country. But I can also guess that it will be about the conversations and the debate, the back and forth, the sparring that has gone on today in Parliament between the majority and the minority side. And the most interesting response has come from the Speaker when he's asked for exorcism of the chamber. Perhaps that is what he's feeling. The kinds of behaviors he has seen from the MPs. But let's turn attention to the most important things of the night, which will be the budget statements that we've just seen. We'll switch between studio and the team on the ground as we continue to bring you interviews from Parliament. But here with me in the studio, Michael Ogbodu. You've met Michael Ogbodu already. He's with 3 Business, and he's doing this with me. In between us is Dr. David Uwako, who is Strategic Management Business Consultant and Investment Advisor with 20 years experience working with the Central Bank. And, gentlemen, we've been looking at the, Dr. Uwako, you have just joined us, but we've been looking at some of the highlights of the budget and, the impact it could have on the Ghanaian people. Michael and I looked at the agric sector. We've looked generally at the economic indicators as well. But listening to the finance minister, what were the highlights for you? Because I want us to take a sector by sector also.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, and good evening to our cherished listeners. I would like to introduce conversation on this with an adage in a book I read in my local language, Ewe, whilst we were in primary school, that Chichiaoha Ofena, which means the adults also play. So after reading of the budget, all the plays that went
so
on,
you think they're playing?
I think we should just take it as play. It's opportunity to play, to make this whole thing a fun, and to look at national development as a collective responsibility beyond the play, beyond the theory and everything. We have to come together and look at national development, at least for once, as a collective responsibility. This should not be partisan at all. We should really look at it as a collective responsibility. To me, the whole budget, I try to listen very carefully, and the theme of the budget, I think, give a very progressive looking and positive indication to the future of this country. And looking at the budget as a whole, very detailed, at least for once I'll see is I'll say it's one of the best budgets that I've listened to, with the indications on the ground, with the background or the foundation that have been set about the economy as it stands now, and how progressively the finance minister present this budget from sector by sector arrangement, and promise for growth, promise for job creation, promise for making funds, patient fund available for starters, entrepreneurs, and everybody, which will be translating into real growth, real sector development. I think it's something that worth looking into beyond the numbers or macroeconomic numbers that we should be mentioning in the few days ahead of us. So my interest is fine. Those who are very interested in numbers, I believe most of them will hear this budget. They could read and have their interpretations, but we should try to break it down to ordinary people and individuals who may not understand this, our economic jargons, what budget means and what understanding this is bringing to economic or national development.
I mean, but what kind of a Ghana do you think is delivering in 2026 if you were to break it down?
Yes, I can see a very progressive Ghana, a very a Ghana that is having enabling environment to take off in a new economic development, new social development, new national development, because we can see indicators showing that with a little push, with a little sense of responsibility from every aspect. We used to put much blame on politicians. We used to call the president for everything. But I think we all have collective responsibility to build our nation. Yeah.
So very interesting comments about, I don't know about you, Kemeni, but one of the things that really struck me in the budget was the dualization.
The Accra-Kumasi
Expressway. I think that would be a major game changer, especially for people in the capital, because this means that you could, if you want, decide to, for instance, live in Kumasi and work in Accra, because from what we are hearing, within 2 hours, you could be able to drive from Accra to Kumasi. And that opens up the capital even more. Maybe this is part of maybe the initial plans for the government's other plan of building another capital city. Well, maybe.
You never
but I
know.
think that it's a good one, especially looking at how detailed that plan looks like. You've spoken about the interchanges, the various rest stops and the likes. You know that one critical move in advancing development is roads. And I always tell my colleagues, if you look at the Nana Krom Road, once the road was done, hundreds of businesses shot up along that stretch. And so it's very critical when the government prioritizes key infrastructure projects like this. And you know, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry had actually called for the 30 billion allocated for the Big Push agenda to be increased even further. So it shows you how critical all of this is to the economy. I'm also happy about the fact that they said that now when contractors complete the projects that they do, within 30 days, they'll be paid. I'm sure the contractors will be very excited about this, because, you know, some of them, as we speak at the moment, still have debts as long as 7 years ago that hasn't been paid. And you know how critical contractors are to the economy. You pay them, it waters down because of the various legs of what they do, the number of people they employ, and how all of this trickles down into the economy. So 2026 looks very promising. The question is, would they be
able to fulfill them?
Again, can we hold them by their words? But some would say that so far, so good.
They are showing trails that they are able to do that. And this Accra I'll come to you, Dr. Wako, but this Accra Kumasi Expressway, remember that in the budget of 2025, it was one of the things the minority was very outspoken about, because they thought that the Big Push road agenda did not include the Accra Kumasi situation, and then the interchanges that had already begun, construction of which had begun already. And to see this here, it would appear that the government has looked at its work again and decided that, okay, we can put this in, look at those interchanges, and then give the people of the Ashanti region, and in fact, the rest of Ghana, because it's a very busy expressway, right? So it is good to see that is happening. I'll finish that point, but let's go back to Parliament now. One of the minority members, Samia Wuku, is addressing the press.
6 months, 8 months. So that's what we are going to do. These are not real jobs. These are not sustainable jobs. So you are telling me that government's major policy, more than 2/3, will be to create laborers. When I pause to say a prayer, I'll say one for the finance minister and the budget. That should be commended. That's what I'm saying. That the COVID-19 that you say you have scrapped, we need to also see where the other revenue will come in to also cater for that revenue shortfall. It's not mere rhetoric. Government has listed so many items that they want to achieve, so many projects. And so people will then begin to ask, okay, it's good. I mean, for us, we celebrate. Let me commend him that he's taking off the COVID-19 levy. I hope he are not passing the back door with the introduction of the airport levy. That's another tax. So you are just robbing Peter to pay Paul. But what should also be of significant concern to the Ghanaian youth is a clear path towards employment opportunities and job creation. Once the youth are not seeing hope in that clear path, we are going to have a difficulty. And that's why able-bodied young men and women will wake up at dawn to go and queue, and many will go and will not come back, or some will go and will not come back. That definitely is not what our forefathers wished for. But that is still for next year. And government is saying, and I will repeat, they want to create 800,000 jobs next year per their budget. Out of that, they are telling you 490,000 out of the 800,000 jobs will be through labor work. Labor work, those who carry water, carry the pan, go and fetch sand. 490,000 out of it, because that's what they are telling you in the construction sector. You're not going to hire engineers 10,000. You're not going to hire civil engineers or geodetic engineers 20,000. So what they are telling you, that the jobs that they are going to create out of that 800,000, the 490,000 will be those in the sector of laborers for 6 months, 7 months, and they are back to the unemployment situation again. Government must create real jobs. And I was saying that what worries me is that the three sectors of the economy, that of the services, that of the manufacturing, and that of the agriculture. Agriculture creates jobs. That of the manufacturing sector creates jobs. The services sector is choked. You won't create jobs there, because there is more of import and people consuming. But if you are talking about where you can create real jobs, government's priority should be in the area of agriculture, and that's of the manufacturing, because it's a whole value chain. And so I want the finance minister to look at this strategy again on job creation. That notwithstanding, the minority will do a very detailed analysis of the budget, and many of the things that were mentioned this evening were mentioned previously. And so we'll go back. This time, strangely, they didn't emphasize much on the 24-hour economy.
Some funding, some allocation will be made.
Of how much? Well, the beginning of the year, they made allocation as well. So let's go in there. The devil is in the detail. They've given us in excess of over 300 pages to go and peruse. If they think we will not read, they will make a mistake. We are going to read, and we shall be back to it.
All right, and so that has been it. Samia Wuku there for you. Essentially, and as it has been, tomorrow, the minority members are going to have a press conference in which they would seek to present what they have termed as the true state of affairs, the true state of the economy, and also more or less present their own facts of issues as they are on ground. And so that has been it. A lot has been said, a lot has taken place today, but I'm seeking to, Kemini, get just one more reaction for you from a member of parliament as well, and then right after that we'll bring our coverage from parliament to a close. I want to get the MP for Pro East to also get his own reaction of how things have been today for him and what he makes of the budget presentation.
Okay, farmer centers, yeah, beginning, about some communities there. ne ahwɛ about equipment ahodoɔ a yɛde ba ne nyinaa ne sɛ yɛbɛtumi create adwuma de ama nkurɔfoɔ ama ɔmo ayɛ den ɔmo anya biaeɛ. But the most important thing is Abena San Yiska over 200 million. So Yemfanto and Nema amount for Fudia.
All right. So basically, what the minority side of, the House is saying is that government must endeavor to create real jobs for the people. But I wanted to get a quick reaction from the majority side. The Pro East MP is a member of the majority side and even serves on the Health Committee of Parliament, who have been part of a team touring some facilities to look at some of those health institutions, even talking about the Agenda 111 project, which the minister details. What has been your own impression of the budget so far?
Excellent. And to say that this is the kind of budget that is going to propel development, propel growth at a certain level. To tell you that this budget is a budget of hope for the youth, a budget of resilience, a budget that is going to pull the economy from one level to the other. Let me tell you that a budget that is able to tell you that we are investing so much in agriculture, in equipment, in machinery to make sure people are moving from normal agriculture using the normal farm tools to industrialization of agriculture is giving us the opportunity to grow massively in this sector. So when you look at the...
You are on the health committee, for instance. A number of policies have been outlined, especially allocations made to continue some Agenda 111 project here and there. Do you feel, and as the minority side would always hold that view, that some of these allocations are not fairly distributed? Do you feel the allocations as presented in the budget could do a good job for your side?
When we say fairly distributed, what does that mean? Fairly is when within a community you have a government hospital, you have a district hospital, and there is an Agenda 111 equally happening at the same place. Where is the fairness? The fairness is to go to places where there is no regional hospital, there's no government hospital, there's no district hospital, yet there's an Agenda 111 project which has started and hasn't gotten to any level. So it is just normal, it is just on point that we get that particular facility up to a level where the community, the inhabitants could actually access. But not to say that we have to complete some Agenda 111 projects, even though other people within the community could still access facilities there. That is what the government has sought to do. And you will see it happening as we go forward, because we are not going to lump the resources at a particular place, but to redistribute it for it to impact.
All right, thank you so much. So I've been engaging the Member of Parliament for Pro East, Emmanuel Lord Boam, on his own appreciation of how things have been. Kemini, see, the perspectives are a lot. Conversations are already unraveling, but tomorrow the minority has scheduled to have what they call a detailed press conference that more or less breaks down issues as they see them. Even in the chamber today, the leader has made a claim that when you look at this budget, it is full of lamentations, for instance. So tomorrow, we hope to see what details they also have, contrary to all that the finance minister has presented today. Back to you in studio, Kemini.
Oh, Christian Yale, thank you for such a fantastic job today. And in fact, the entire team on the ground as well. But here in the studio, we'll wind down and then segue into Ghana Tonight with Alfredo Kansi. And Dr. Waku, you wanted to make a point, just before we look at some of the things, Michael, that Samia Uku has outlined already is on the table for us to discuss. But Dr. Waku, you wanted to make a point about the Accra-Kumasi Expressway.
Okay, so the comment I want to make, not really directly today, but to the fact that for me, in this budget, one thing that strikes me and give me much hope is the opening of the value for money audit, pre-contract audit office that the minister mentioned that will be open. If that office will live up to the expectation, I believe is going to give a very critical watch on every contract that will be signed to make sure it is executed to the quality that it deserves, to worth the investment that goes into it. So I would pray that that office should really be looked at and put very objective technical people into that office.
But already, isn't that a function of the PPA already?
No, PPA, I think public procurement is different from pre-contract audit or an office to be critically in charge of projects. You know, this is a new, I would say, novel thing government want to do. Let's see how it works. Because PPA was there, internal audit was there, so audit service is there. But look at the challenges we still have with our contracts and whatever. So let's see.
So you think it's a good added layer?
For me, I think it's a good layer.
Hopefully we don't.
Depending on how it will play.
We don't run into the ground.
Yeah, I am a bit skeptical because we've had these scenarios play out in the past where we create pseudo government agencies, we increase our expenditure by spending money on some of these agencies that are literally just duplicating function of other agencies. And why not empower the Public Procurement Authority to maybe do a proper scrutiny of projects before we go ahead and approve them? Why create another agency? That's just my concern. Because at the moment, we've seen this government, they're trying to be fiscally responsible. So as much as possible, if we can afford and avoid an expense, why not?
So far, it is mentioned that it's an office, maybe under
PPA, or maybe the audit
finance
service.
or audit service. So it is not a whole ministry by itself.
Maybe they'll work for free.
Yeah, maybe they work.
No, it will be more like reassignments.
Yes.
So that it's still within the wage bill, right? But the other thing I want us to look at, and before we go there, I just want to add that on the big push agenda, hopefully we are looking at functionality over beautification, because a lot of times when we spend money on big road constructions, yes, we want it to look beautiful, then we forget functionality.
True.
And then people are unable to use pedestrian walks and people don't have bus stops and rest stops and all that. So hopefully, particularly this 6-lane bi-directional Accra Kumasi Expressway is functionality over beautification. Away from that, I want us to look at some of the issues that Samia Wuku raised, right? Yeah. The issue about, okay, you're taking out COVID-19, you're losing some money, what are you putting back in? Then he mentions the Airport Development Fund or levy of sorts, which he says the Ghana Airport Company will be putting in place. That felt to me like they were sneaking something in. I don't know how that felt with you, but I want to hear from you first, Michael.
Something must give. There's been a lot of call for the COVID-19 levy to be scrapped. I think finally, I think that's also a feather in the cap of this particular government. They appear to be listening because you heard the outcry for the scrapping of the e-levy. They did it as soon as they came into office. The betting tax as well and a couple of others. It shows you that they are probably paying attention. Hopefully that posturing continues. However, the point is that if you are scrapping one levy to introduce another, I just want to know, I'm just curious to know what the modalities really are. And already as we said, there are concerns about the high cost of airfares in the country. So is this a levy that's going to increase the cost, or who is going to pay it? Because if you introduce it to the airlines, they will transfer it to the consumer. So I'm really interested to see how they plan on pulling that off. But then, of course, you've seen that their projection for 2026 is to increase revenue by about 20%. How are you going to achieve that if you're scrapping COVID levy that is also generating some level of income? You're reducing VAT from about 20-something% to a flat rate about 20%. What really is the plan? Because really, unless they have some empirical evidence to show that when you reduce the tax rate, compliance level goes up to the point that you can make up for the difference from slashing the rate, I don't know. But at least let's cut them some slack that this GRA boss and his team have been on a heavy sensitization drive. We've heard almost every week, we've heard of them doing some level of sensitization across the country. But is that translated to the numbers? Well, we'll see how all of that pan out. But at least we can say that maybe they figured a way around it, because from first quarter, they were able to hit their revenue target. I heard they hit it also for the third quarter. We're waiting to see how this one pans out. So let's see. Maybe a bit optimism on their side.
Absolutely. Dr. Walker, I want to hear from you now. Revenues against expenditure. Michael has already laid the numbers. how they want to increase revenue, steadily spending, increasing spending as well for the 2026 fiscal year. At the same time, they're getting rid of some taxes or levies like, COVID and vetting, which is already gone, and then bringing in the, how much really are we getting from that airport levy?
To be able to do that much of infrastructure development?
But maybe we're putting the cart ahead of the horse.
Well.
You never know how much that is, because he really didn't say much about it, except to tell us that this is what could happen, right?
Okay.
So, but in terms of the revenue expenditure analysis for 2026, what do you see?
Okay, so you see, the beauty of government is that there's an Adinkra symbol called the king's eye. It is perceived that the king's eye is bigger and it looks around than any individual's eye. What government sees might be bigger than any of us individual looking at things. And reduction in tax rate or scrapping a particular tax does not necessarily mean total revenue is reduced, because tax administration is such that the more you collect, the expanded version or scope you have for tax give you more revenue than increase the rate and you are unable to collect, does not necessarily translate into total revenue. So if you are looking for total revenue, it is how much you are able to collect or what is the scope of your tax net. So by this budget, I think the tax net will be wider. There are strategies to collect more or to make sure we expand
well, at least that's
the
what he tells us.
base.
Yeah.
Yes,
that they plan to expand the tax net.
Yes, so
they always say it, but the
They
point
always
is,
say-
what is really is the plan? Because,
You're absolutely right, and we always hear
the
that.
revenue side of things are quite tricky for 2026 because already from where we sit, there are already projections that global commodity prices will drop significantly next year. Global crude prices are projected to also drop, and these are all. This means that on the revenue side, coupled with the fact that our currency is appreciating significantly against the US dollar, which is already going to impact import volumes, volume set of forex, or now also the value that we'll be getting from those commodities is expected to take a hit. Aside this as well, revenues from the ports, all things being equal, would also dip if you don't make the effort to increase the trade volumes, because your currency appreciation alone puts you on the negative. So the question is, how are they going to balance all these odds that appear not to be on their side to raise the revenue that they need? And that's a critical one.
Like indeed it is. But Dr. Waku, you want to come in there?
Okay, yes. So to say that, look at looking at the budget as a whole, we talk about a lot of job creation.
Yeah.
When you are creating more jobs, when agriculture is increasing, when for example, the road network you are talking about, if it is done, what are you doing? You are expanding trade. You are making trade facilitating trade to be faster, which result in higher profit. And if you have higher profit, you pay more tax. So all this budget should not just be looked in terms of specific. Look at
the entire machinery.
As to what you are going to get. We are saying that we want to create an economy which real sector production, we want to see job creation, we want to see infrastructure improve. All these are going to bring revenue or to make life better off. So if you're just looking at tax as one thing, how much duty do you collect? You know that when you reduce tax on duty, volumes increase. People are more encouraged to do a lot of things. So
that
the financial
debatable
per se,
to some extent because as that point, it's actually debatable to some extent because when we reviewed the discount on the benchmark values, trade volumes didn't really go up that much. So it's a tricky one.
Right. So gentlemen, we're going to have to do a bit of a touch and go because, like I said before, we would have to say going to Ghana tonight with Alfred Okanse. I do want us to look at the energy sector. Really important developments that have happened over there. It would appear that the energy ministry, the minister in charge, the government as a whole have been on a very great trajectory for the growth and expansion of the energy sector. But let's look at the future of it.
Yeah.
Right? What do you see, Dr. Wako?
Yes, for me, the energy, I will be specific on the new thermal gas plant that is mentioned that government is going to start establishing to produce megawatt that is more than what Akosobo could be giving to us. I have seen it to be a program or a plan in a very good direction. One, giving us stability in energy. And at the same time, you know, the whole country or the world is going green energy. And the emerging trend is the EV cars that are coming into the system.
Yeah.
We should have a stable power supply to be able to engineer that. So for me, this is a very good initiative, as well as the rural electrification, which program government intends to expand electricity to every corner of this country. This message alone is a great hope for the future.
Yeah.
Michael.
The prospects look pretty good for the energy sector, and I think kudos to the Energy Ministry and the collaboration that they've had with the Finance Ministry in helping to some extent sanitize the space. At least you heard the minister say that ECG revenue levels has gone up by about 90%.
90%?
Which is quite commendable.
Massive.
But I'll slide in there and say, then why didn't we hear the 1 CD thing scrapped? The levy, energy sector levy.
Fair point.
Are picking up already for the ECG, because you see, but for the 1 CD on the cost of fuel at the moment, market leader Star Oil is selling at 10 CDs, 45 pesos. Some of the pumps, 11 CDs, 45 pesos. If you take out that 1 CD, it means that fuel prices could drop by 1 CD, bringing it to about 10 CDs, 45 pesos there, which would have been a major windfall for consumers, and also help give the consumer more financial space, you know, to spend to the critical part of the economy. So we'll see how things pan out. Maybe, hopefully, by mid-year, next year, we should hear something from...
Something about
because, you know, there was a lot of concerns about the sunset clause bit of that levy when it was introduced. The beautiful part about also the energy sector was hearing the finance minister say that we've been able to at least restructure to some extent, reach some agreements with all our energy sector debts. At least that gives us some financial space. And like I said earlier too, we should commend the energy minister. At least so far, we've had pretty stable energy, especially looking at the point we were as a country as at January 7th. Remember that one of the first things that this president did upon assuming office was meeting the IPPs, because our debt levels had reached unsustainable levels with the IPPs, and a lot of them had some of them are threatened to shut down.
Absolutely.
So being able to negotiate or navigate the country through all those turbulent times to get to this level of stability, to be able to get their buy-in, to restructure, renegotiate our debts, I think that's brilliant. So we'll see the next level of all of that. We know also that the government is implementing some solar renewable energy programs for next year to, so to speak, free up the main grid for industry, so that local or home consumption could maybe fall to some extent on the solar system. So let's see how all of that plays out. Like we are saying, it looks good. But
it always looks good on paper.
At the beginning, so we'll cut them some slack, but we'll see how all of that pans out.
I think also, you know, the Ghanaian people have to stagger expectation when it comes to the 1,200 megawatt state-owned power plant. Would also have to stagger expectations when it comes to the new gas pipe, the new gas plant, processing plant that you talked about. Because remember that in the one that was cut short for in 2024 that didn't happen. The timeline was that it will work within a 2-year period. And so for this one, which will be done, and again, I don't know if it's the same project that has been transferred to now.
I believe it's that.
It's the same project,
GPP2.
right? So we're expecting it to be a 2-year project before it terminates as a complete project. And so it means that we can't necessarily have it now, but it's good on paper. It's good that we have the plan, and would have to stagger expectations when it comes to that, because excuse me, one of the things that happens is when people see things in the budgets, the assumption is that the timeline is now and now in the 2026 fiscal year. This gas processing plant and the power plant is not something that is happening immediately. But when it does happen, it will, you know, do a lot of good to us. So when things start to go like, we are flaring a lot of gas, we are not able to process, let's remember that it's a project and it takes time. So there's that also. And then I want us to look at the health sector just before we hand over to Alfred. because one of the critical sectors that people were looking forward to, are things going to get better for them? And Michael, before you come in, I just want to say that the finance minister didn't mention, but the copy of the document that we have, they addressed the water situation in Tamale as well.
Yeah.
Because this afternoon when we spoke to residents in Tamale, one of the things that they wanted done for them was the supply shortages that they faced there. And I just want to say that it was acknowledged in this. It wasn't mentioned, but it was very much acknowledged here. Now to the health sector.
Yeah. I don't know if...
Dr. Waku? Dr. Waku, you go first. You go first.
Okay,
because,
so,
the health sector, and I'm going to say, right, I'm going to say that there's nothing new in the health sector. It just came and went. Just a few paragraphs. But you go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I see something new there.
Oh, what was it?
Oh, yes. At least for the first time, a government is prepared to sponsor or continue agenda. Government agenda 111.
Oh, they've always said that. But it's good to know that it's captured now.
At least it's captured.
At least he says in 2026, government to complete 10 of the abandoned agenda 111.
Which
it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing.
So I think that is a commendable point I want to make. And healthcare is very important. After a certain age, the thing you are looking for is a good healthcare facility. Health is very expensive, but once government is committed to do some of these hospitals, provision of a good healthcare for each citizenry, the future healthy person is a future nation. So I think it's something good.
Let me just chip this in because I'm reading from point 1059, Mr. Speaker. To bridge the inequality in access to healthcare across our regions, government will commence the processes towards the construction of 6 new regional hospitals for the 6 newly created regions, beginning with 3 hospitals in 2026 and 2 district hospitals at Bole and Shama.
That's forward looking.
Yeah, but how different really then is that from the Agenda 111 really?
Fair question.
Yeah, and we heard Mr. President say that his government is committed to completing any projects that were started by the previous government. So I'm wondering why we are not prioritizing.
But also remember that the regional hospital that you hear is not just by location; it's also by the health categorization, what they are able to do there and what they cannot do, which is what may make it different from the 111 hospitals. And what we will now know as regional hospitals as well. But I can understand you. Why can't we just upgrade one of the 111 hospitals into a regional hospital instead of starting something, from ground? But then again, we do not know what the review has. Remember that the health ministry undertook a review of the 111 hospitals. I do not know the details of that. I'm not sure you do either. No. Neither does.
But at least one that we heard that I was really excited about was that hospital that was demolished just around here. Is it La General Hospital?
La General Hospital.
Mentioned that
absolutely.
At least that was a relief to hear because that's one hospital that has suffered.
Oh, it has. It has indeed. It has indeed. But gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights on the subject matter. Michael Ogbodu is with 3 Business. Dr. David Waku is a strategist, and he's also had a long experience with central bank activities. I am Kemeni Amano. I will now hand over to the Ghana Tonight team on the other side. Alfred, you've had a very long day, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely. On both sides, it's indeed been a very long day. It may be the first time in a long while that we've had a budget presented at this time of the day, running into the night. And questions were asked earlier when we got to Parliament, why an item like the approval of the Chief Justice nominee is going to be on the same day as the presentation of the budget. Which one should have come first? But then again, it's happened. Well, the budget has been presented. A number of the members of Parliament were not on the floor of Parliament or in the chamber when this budget was presented. And it's understandable, okay? So in the coming days, we're going to be seeing a lot of detailed analysis into what the finance minister presented today. Remember, this is more of a summarized and abridged version. There's some detail, or the devil in that detail, in the full budget, and then also the appendixes
The detail that you want to pay attention to is in the appendices that were not presented today. That goes into a lot more of these figures that we're going to be showing, the headline figures that the finance minister put out earlier today. But thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, our job is done, so good luck.
For laying that foundation as solid as it is. And this is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okanse. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Oh, this is Ghana Tonight, and remember, as always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, simply superior, Sasso insecticide spray and call tum preco. The major expectation of the Ghanaians was how this administration was going to consolidate the gains that had been made within this period, the fiscal year. The finance minister, in fulfilling Article 179 of the 1992 Constitution, has done what is expected of him, presenting this budget in the objective of consolidating these gains, as he put out earlier today. But how much confidence does this budget give the business community? And also, a very interesting development we're learning from the finance minister earlier today was the establishment of the Value for Money Office. What does that mean? What is it going to do? How different would it be from the Public Procurement Authority? And taking into consideration the fact that over 10 billion cedis worth of arrears that were handed over to this administration have been disallowed by the Auditor General after an audit. Stay with me. I've got an exclusive detail of some of these disallowed arrears after the audit of the Auditor General into this over 68 billion cedis arrears that were handed over to this administration, and some of these persons who were supposed to be paid within these arrears were making demands of the finance minister. And then again, he asked the Auditor General to audit these arrears that were handed over to him by the previous administration. It's a very, very concerning detail. Stay with me. We'll walk through it. We'll walk through it together, because I have that document from the Auditor General, that audit that disallowed over 10 billion cedis in payment. We'll get into all of that. Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's going to be joining me as well as we have this conversation tonight. But this is it. These are the projections, as the finance minister did indicate, how the next fiscal year, 2026, is going to look like. 18.9% of the GDP for the entire year 2026, 302.5 billion, is what would define the total expenditure in terms of the big push, or what is going to be put in. You heard Michael and Kemeni talk about the hospitals that are expected to be built, and then also the investment into the security or defense sector, helicopters that are expected to be purchased, and so on. All of that would be in here. It sends a quick indication of the spending, because one of the criticisms that the minority has leveled against this administration in the first 11 months is that they are not spending, they are not paying contractors. So we cannot know the real state of the economy unless they begin to spend. The finance minister disagrees. Well, look at how inflation has been trending over the period. Question is how that would directly also translate into the real state of affairs, because food inflation, he did indicate, is also in a single digit, as we have seen the Ghana Fiscal Service put out. But when you go onto the market, there has to be that clear reflection. That does not mean that food prices have gone down this much. It only just means that the rate of increase in the price of food items on the market has just slowed. It's just lowered over the period. It's not increasing astronomically as we used to see it. 8% inflation rate. The business community is asking questions as to how this 8% inflation, headline inflation, would influence the cost of credit, because for a very long time, the central bank was doing inflation targeting so that inflation would influence monetary policy rate, which also is the reference rate for the banks in setting their rates on interest and on loans that they advance to these private sector players. Now, even though interest on loans has been trending downwards, it's not been trending as much as we have seen inflation rate go down from the beginning of the year as we started this year, 2025, with 23.5% inflation. We're going to put it on the screen right now. Now we're talking about 8%. So the expectation of the private sector is that, you know what, if inflation has gone down this much, that has to also influence the cost of credit. How much interest is charged on the loans that we take from banks and financial institutions in this country. That's not happening. Well, we'll have a conversation shortly with the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana as well. But let's start off from this point, where the finance minister earlier today indicated that the COVID-19 levy finally will be abolished. A paper has already been laid to start the process already. Right after the finance minister presented the budget, the paper was laid for the process for the abolition of the COVID-19 levy of our books. This is what the finance minister said earlier today. Take a look. And we'll get into that shortly, while we also recall exactly how the picture looks like right now regarding the policy rate, as I did reference earlier, currently 21.5%. We started the year with almost 30%, in some cases 29.5% as well. And this inflation rate, number of the private sector players were expecting that this would influence the policy rate to go down a bit further than the 21.5% as we have it now. Well, in terms of gross international reserves, we're going into this budget with the gross international reserves target actually being exceeded. When the finance minister presented the mid-year budget review, the target for the gross international reserves was 3 months. Well, guess what? We are talking about 4.5 months of international gross reserves. Why? Because we have seen exports exceed imports for the first time in a long while, with over $6 billion that our exports have exceeded our imports. And the finance minister gave some detail today that gold has been the major driver of the increase in our exports. That has brought in a lot more forex. That has also led to the shoring up of our gross international reserves. Gold constitutes 62% of our exports within this year, followed by we saw cocoa as well, doing quite well with the interventions and the policies that have been put in place. The setting up of the gold board led to we've seen this gold exports going up. Also the reforms in cocoa board and the engagements, the motivation and the incentives advanced to the cocoa farmers as well has been one of the reference points that has led to what is said has been an influence in the that's cocoa exports as well going up. The finance minister did reference that. The debt to GDP ratio we've seen, the finance minister did indicate that with what we are seeing right now, this is the lowest in quite a while as well. And there's a reason why he points to this, because at some point in this country, we're dealing with the debt to GDP trending more than 60%. We had to do the rebasing, and then eventually having our debt to GDP ratio being a big issue when we went to the IMF. And that's another area to look at as well, as to how we can sustain a debt to GDP ratio trending downwards over time. Here's the reason why. Because by May next year, May 2026, we're going to exit this IMF program. In fact, we would have been done with the extended credit facility, this 3-year program. May 2026, Ghana will be done with it. What that means is that we'll not have to be self-disciplined, and we'll have to be fiscally disciplined, because there's not going to be any IMF breathing down our necks, coming in every now and then to come and do a review to ensure that we are within the program targets and making sure that we are achieving targets and in some cases exceeding them as well. That's why you hear the finance minister consistently talk about the fact that this 2026 budget anchors on self-discipline. If that's not done, we're going to have problems. But take a listen to him.
We institutionalize quarterly expenditure reviews. Right, Honorable Speaker. Together, these measures will ensure that Ghana lives within its means, mobilize resources fairly, and spend efficiently. Fiscal discipline is not an end in itself. It is the bridge between stability and progress, between policy and real improvement in the lives of our people. Right, Honorable Speaker. Years of inflation and weak oversight have drained real value from public spending. Too often, projects are overpriced, delayed, or abandoned because scrutiny comes only after money is spent. To fix this, government will establish an independent value for money office, a permanent guardian of efficiency, accountability, and fiscal integrity. Speaker, it will certify major projects before approval, monitor delivery, and evaluate results to ensure every city delivers measurable value. The office will enforce cost benchmarks, require public VFM certificate for contracts, and coordinate with the Auditor General, the Public Procurement Authority, and Internal Audit Agency to impose penalties for waste and fraud. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Value for Money Transparency Portal will publish certified projects and citizen feedback in real times. Mr. Speaker, this reform will save up to 3 billion Ghana cedis a year, cut contract inflation, and rebuild public trust. Mr. Speaker, the Value for Money Office is not just another agency. It is Ghana's watchdog for prudent spending and real results.
Well, you heard the Finance Minister talk about prudent spending. Let's listen to him talk about the abolition of COVID-19 levy. This was a big issue during the media budget review, why he did not announce the abolition. He explained why, because there are consultations taking place at the time, and he gave this timeline that this was going to be abolished or taken off our books, and how much it is putting in our pockets after this abolition. Take a look.
Government is therefore submitting to this House a bold package of VAT reforms that will make our tax system more equitable, transparent, and business-friendly. Right, Honorable Speaker, the new VAT reforms will do the following. We will abolish the COVID-19 health recovery levy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the decoupling of GET-Fund and National Health Insurance levies from the VAT tax base. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish VAT on recognizance and prospecting of minerals. Mr. Speaker, we will reduce the effective VAT rate from 21.9 to 20%. Mr. Speaker, we will raise the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 to 750,000 cedis. Mr. Speaker, we will extend VAT zero rating on the supply of local manufacturing textiles to 2028. Mr. Speaker, with the support of this House, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to say that I'm happy to announce that today, COVID-19 levy is accordingly abolished. Mr. Speaker, by abolishing the COVID-19 levy, government is putting 3.7 billion Ghana cedis in the pockets of individuals and businesses in 2026. Mr. Speaker, these reforms will also reduce the cost of doing business by 5% as a result of subjecting GET-Fund and NHIL levies to input-output deductibility for businesses. Altogether, the VAT reforms is expecting to give back nearly 6 billion Ghana cedis to businesses and households.
So that's the Finance Minister. COVID-19 levy is going to be off our books, but that has to go through a process. It's not like tomorrow when you go to the shop to go and buy. Now when you go to the supermarket, if you